Hello, here I am, and there you are. I wanted to start day one of the journey of 40 days of telling you a story, a testimony of God's faithfulness and goodness. Happened 10 years ago this week. A storm hit, a storm that I had never encountered before. We all have storms in life, and some are very rough and life-changing. And I would say that this one was a life changer for me in a good way. I wanted to start day one to say this is my perspective on a story that affected a lot of people. The story is about my son Eric, who became ill back 10 years ago. So if he were to tell you this story, it would be different than my version, in the sense that he just experienced it in a different way. And my children, Joe and Holly and Eric and Lily, experienced this storm as well in a different and unique way. And my husband in a unique way as well. So I just wanted to say this is my story in the sense that it's how I see things, how God showed me things, and it's not to take away from Eric's experience or anything that the family experienced in the storm. Because honestly, a storm affects many people. If you are in a storm, there are people around you also in that storm. We're really never alone in a storm. Even though we can feel very isolated, at least one other person is in the storm with us, and that is the person of the Holy Spirit with us and in us, and I'll talk more about that as we go. And I'm not sure if you're a believer, if you believe in God, if you have what your thoughts are on Jesus, what your thoughts are on the Holy Spirit, and I'm not here to convince you of anything. Maybe we'll get you to think, and that's a good thing, right? To think about it and choose for yourself and just think about it. I wanted to say that I don't want to get in a trap of comparing and competing with storm stories. I don't want my story to be a better storm than someone else's, or that we would compete with our trials. I just look, grief and loss that some of you have experienced, I don't know. Trials and tests that some of you have experienced, I don't know. And so it's not a competition. And what I want to say is, if it matters to you, it matters. And so your storm is important. It's important that it teach you something, that it be honored, that it be respected for what it is doing to your heart. And so I just wanted to put that out there, that this is a story of a hardship, a storm that hit, and 10 years ago this week. And I just really 10 years ago today, November 10th, 2011, I would say the storm hit land. And so I'm starting with day one, on the day that the storm was real. It was brewing, but it wasn't for sure going to hit, at least in my mind. I've had storms since, and I've had storms before this storm, but this is the story I want to share. If you are in a storm right now, I would love to pray for you. So you can leave a message in a private message, and I will be praying for you in your storm. This is the truth I believe. You are either in a storm right now, or you're coming out of a storm and you're weary and you're wrung out and you need rest and you need healing. And that takes time. And sometimes you look around and you think, well, the storm is over, but look at the mess. Look at the mess that's left. And some of you are trying to overwhelmingly deal with that. And I'd love to pray for you with that. And some of you are not in a storm or coming out, but you are in a sunshine season. The weather's fair. And yes, you know there's trouble around, and you are aware of that. But you would say that this is a good time for you, and a blessed time. And maybe little storms come, but nothing that rocks your world. I don't want you to feel guilty. I do not want you to ever feel guilty if you're in a season of fair weather, because those of us in a storm desperately need the fair weather helpers. Mr. Rogers said when he was little, and he'd be afraid if he saw a crisis occur and something would scare him, and he would tell his mom he was afraid, and she would say, you just have to look for the helpers. When you are afraid and when you are overwhelmed and scared, Fred, you just need to look for the helpers, because there's always helpers. So if you're in a sunny time of life, thank God, and just be a helper. So that's my message to you. And some of you may be saying, well, I'm not in a storm, and I'm not coming out, or I'm wrung out, and life is pretty good, but I am afraid of that storm that looks like it's on the horizon. And what if it hits? What if that happens? What if the other shoe drops? What if? And I leave you with this, in that, ask yourself how you're doing right now. What's the real situation? And if you say, well, right now it's not stormy, but what if? And I say, just go back to, how is it right now? For Jesus said in Corinthians 12:9, my grace is sufficient for you. My power is perfect in weakness. He'll be with us in the storm if it arrives and when it arrives. And he's not going to be in it if it's an imaginary thing. So my message to you today, and I will get into the storm that hit tomorrow, but why it hit today was the day that Eric was hospitalized in Hawaii. And for those of you who know the story, then you know. And for those of you who don't, tomorrow I'm going to really unpack how the storm was brewing, and how scared and confused and all those emotions that we are when we're thinking something is about to happen. So I just want to say, be the helper, ask for prayer, leave a comment in the comment section. Are you in a storm? I will be praying for you. Are you coming out in a little wrung out or a lot wrung out? I'll pray for you. Or are you in a fair weather where you can leave a message or leave a note in the comments? In a storm, coming out of a storm, I'm a helper. See you tomorrow.